you guys have had a spectacular but also spooky Sunday. I cannot believe that Halloween is literally right around the corner. And for today's video, I'm actually really getting into the Halloween spirit and sharing the legend slash real life story of a little witch girl who is trapped within the Pilot Knob Cemetery. Now in tomorrow's video, I have an entire video on the history of witches and the things that would happen to witches throughout history and all of that good stuff. But today's video, I'm not going to get too much into the history of witches or what led people to believe that individuals were witches. Instead, I'm going to talk about the spirit of a young girl that is trapped within the Pilot Knob Cemetery and talk about the reasoning people believe her spirit is stuck there. But before I get into today's video, I would just very quickly like to say, if you guys are new to my channel and you enjoy spooky content, or maybe you just haven't subscribed yet, but you do enjoy my videos, please, please, please go ahead and click that subscribe button, join the Reese's Pieces. We believe in the unbelievable and I am posting every single day, so I definitely don't want you guys to miss out. But with that being said, let's get into the content because I know that's what you guys are here for. So in the Pilot Knob Cemetery in the city of Marion, Kentucky, there is a spirit of a small girl trapped there. In 1916, a woman by the name of Mary Rebecca Ford and her daughter, Mary Evelyn Ford, were living in Pilot's Knob. Now, I should note that Mary, the little girl, was 5 years old at this specific time. Now back in this time, people within their village were incredibly superstitious and they really wanted absolutely nothing to do with witchcraft or witches. In fact, a lot of times they would have people put into witch trials in order to execute those who were found guilty of being a witch. Now, unfortunately, both Mary and her daughter were accused of being a witch, and because everybody in the town was so superstitious, everybody in the town was so terrified, they decided that they were not going to await a witch trial. They decided that they were going to take matters into their own hands. So the villagers all gathered together, made the decision that these two were 100% witches. There was no doubt in their minds that both Mary Rebecca Ford and Mary Evelyn Ford were witches. And so they decided that realistically, they must not really need a trial because they really believed that they knew for a fact that this mother and this daughter were witches. So rather than taking the time to await a witch trial, they decided to, like I said, take matters into their own hands. They went into their home, dragged the two of them out, and burned them at the stake, which is so sad. Imagine being 5 years old, dragged out of your home with your mother, and being burned at the stake. Now, they actually buried the mother's body completely elsewhere, and the whereabouts of her body is unknown up until this day. Nobody knows where she is buried. But because they were so superstitious and so afraid, a lot of them feared that this little witch girl, that Mary Evelyn Ford, would come back from the dead seeking revenge. So they felt that in order to secure and save themselves from the spirit of this little witch girl, that they would have to take matters into their hands yet again and make sure that her spirit would never be able to come back for revenge on them. So what they did, they decided to bury her within the Pilot Knob Cemetery. However, they decided to bury her within a steel reinforced casket. They lowered her within this casket into her grave, but that didn't feel enough to them, so they actually filled her grave with concrete. They then put a bunch of gravel on top and built a metal fence, a white metal fence to be specific, with interconnected crosses all around it. So the idea was, if her spirit could come back from the dead, she would be trapped within these interconnected white crosses to be stuck inside of this space. And that is exactly what people believe happened to the spirit of Mary Evelyn Ford. Now, it is believed that the spirit of Mary Evelyn Ford is trapped, but it's said that she longs to be reunited with her mother who was buried elsewhere. So all she wants to do is find her mom. Now, locals have said that you can hear this small child crying out for her mother and that she paces back and forth within the fence that she is trapped inside, pacing, looking for her mom, which is so sad. It is said that the spirit of Mary Evelyn Ford essentially sleeps during the daytime, so people who go and visit her grave during the day have little to no luck at seeing her, but people who come at night are more often than not filled with a ton of paranormal surprises from this child ghost. Now, her spirit isn't really known as one to be sightings or to have sightings of, but she's more of a physical ghost, so you'll feel her. You are told to never go to her grave alone at night, because if you do, her hand will come up through the grave and drag you down. Now, there are people who claim they've put their hands through the fence and they physically feel a little child's hand grabbing onto them, trying to pull them in. The main thing that she really tries to do is pull people in and pull people down. People have actually hopped this fence and laid down on her grave, and they swear it's as though hands come up and wrap around them and start to pull them down to the point where they are stuck there, and whoever they're with has to pull them out. Hence why you're especially not meant to go there alone. People say that they've actually seen child's footprints forming in the gravel above her grave, but also people claim that when they've went there, there have been a ton of child's footprints and they hear what sounds like gravel shuffling in her grave. For those who have seen her, they've seen her in a white dress that's scorched along the bottom with long blonde hair. And it really varies whether or not people see her as burned or people see her as the little girl that she once was. Locals have been quoted saying, "I never go there, no one does. There's a lot of stuff that goes on up there," and people who try to go and visit her grave have often been stopped by the locals, warning them not to go there, warning them that there really and truly is the spirit of a small child there, and warning them that it's not the safest space to go. Now, I really should note though, you guys, in a sense, this is really more of an urban legend, because while the two really truly did exist, and that little girl, Mary Evelyn Ford, actually is buried there, people say that when they went and looked at her medical records and her death records, she was never in fact burned at the stake, but rather died of a medical issue instead of being accused of being a witch. While others say that's completely untrue, and the story of the witch and the little witch girl and her witch mother is in fact the truth. So there's a lot of misconceptions and differences in opinion as far as whether or not this child really was burned at the stake. With that being said, I will say children were convicted in history of being witches and of practicing witchcraft. So it's not completely far-fetched. It's just whether or not that was the case of Mary Evelyn Ford, we don't 100% know. Regardless, whether or not she died of a medical condition or whether or not she died of being burned at the stake, one thing is known, and that is that her spirit is there, and her spirit is in search of her mother. I think what's the saddest part about this specific paranormal case or urban legend to me is the fact that there's a child spirit trapped there. Spirits, or more often than not I should say, spirits who wind up trapped are ones who have experienced an extreme or sudden death. That was weird. Are those who have experienced an extreme or sudden death, such as murder, suicide, a quick accident, things like that. So it really wouldn't surprise me if the urban legend is true that she were in fact burned at the stake, that she would be trapped there. I mean, she was dragged out of her home, shunned by all the villagers. Her and her mother were burned at the stake, and then they buried them in separate areas. So it's really, really sad to me. But with that being said, regardless of why she's trapped there, it's heartbreaking to think that the spirit of a small 5-year-old girl is trapped within a cemetery and often taunted and provoked by those looking to see if she is in fact real. People who have seen the spirit of Mary Evelyn Ford say that she makes strange faces at you and then reaches out as if she wants to grab you. But like I said, more often than not, it's more of a physical thing. People reaching through feel her hands, people climbing in feel her pulling, and people say that they've actually seen her hands popping out as well. With that being said, that is essentially everything that we know as far as the case of Mary Evelyn Ford and her mother, Mary Rebecca Ford, go. It's a really sad case in general. I wish that somebody would go there and cross her over and free her soul, but nonetheless, this is where I would love to hear your guys' opinions on the urban legend / case of the little witch girl in Pilot's Knob Cemetery. Drop some comments down below and let me know what you guys think of this. Do you believe that she died for being burned at the stake? Do you believe that she died of a medical condition and that this is all just a big giant urban legend? Do you think that a spirit truly haunts it, or do you think it is an urban legend? I want to hear everything that you guys think. Please drop some comments down below, and I cannot wait to see you guys in tomorrow's video where we take an in-depth dive into witchcraft, witches, and the history, the dark history behind them. Well, you guys, that is it for today's video. If you guys enjoyed today's video and you want to see more of me, please go ahead and click that subscribe button. I post a ton of videos. I'm uploading every single day, so you don't want to miss out if you do like my videos. And please give this video a big thumbs up if you did enjoy it. It makes my heart super, super happy when you guys do that, so please do that. Remember, my loves, do all things with kindness. And until next time, I love you.